have to watch a clock. I don't even have to watch a clock. I don't even have to watch a clock.
Hello. Thank you so much for listening to the Bold Moves podcast. My name is Mandy Bryce, and I am excited to share episode number 303 with you, which is my chat with musician Angela Predhomme. I hope you enjoy your story.
Hello, everyone. Today I am chatting with Angela Predhomme. Welcome to the show, Angela.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm excited to get to know you and share your story with everyone. Of course, you know that the show is called Bold Moves, and you and I wouldn't be chatting if you hadn't made some. So I would love to hear a little bit about you and your story, and then some of those risks that you've taken along the way that make you a perfect candidate to be on the show.
Okay, great. So what should I start with?
Tell me a little bit about who you are and some of the risks that you've taken.
Oh, okay. So I am a singer-songwriter, and I write most of my own music. On my latest album, there's a couple that were written by other people, but I love to write. I love the creative end of it, and I produce my own music now. So I have other careers in my background, but my real passion was music, and so now I am doing it full time. I used to be an ESL teacher.
Okay.
So, I got a master's degree in teaching English as a second language, and I've done that at universities. So I did that as an adjunct teacher while I was raising my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. It was a great part-time gig because, it's really hard to get a lot done at home when you have little kids.
I believe it.
Yeah. But anyway, so then as my kids got older, I did more and more music.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm really immersed in it. And so I put music out there. I did my first tour this past fall. And my last date was just Cincinnati, just in January.
Okay.
But I mostly have been writing and recording. I just released my 5th album in the fall called Love. And so I've done a lot of writing and recording, and I put it out there to the world. I put it out there, of course, on all the streaming sources, but also even before streaming was big, I was sending it to music libraries. So music libraries are searched for TV shows and advertising and films and all that stuff. And so I've had quite a few placements on film and TV, and so that's what's really been my focus is the recording. So that what I like about that is it's so permanent.
Yeah.
It's so permanent, and you do a good job, and you put it out there, and then somebody might use something for a TV show even years later. So it's great.
That's awesome. I can totally identify with so much of what you're saying because I'm also a former teacher, and now I'm a makeup artist, primarily income-wise, or I would say it's starting to lean a little bit more toward making money from writing than makeup, but I am the same way and love the permanence of it. So I've done photo shoots and some like film and TV and video appearance stuff. But I love those so much more than the red carpet, even though that can be more glamorous, just because I'm like, okay, I might see this for 10 minutes before my client walks out the door, but with a photo shoot or video, it's there forever. What are some of your...
so the makeup, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like it's not all going directly down the drain.
Yeah.
What are some TV or movies that I might have seen or heard your music in?
Well, the first big one I got was a few years back on Dance Moms.
Okay.
So Dance Moms, there was a girl called JoJo, and she did a number called Faith Is All I Need, and they used my song called Epiphany. And so that, that got, it's still growing. It's still my most searched for song. It's the most seen on YouTube. People search for it all over the world every day because of Dance Moms. And
That's
then
cool.
also they chose another one of my songs for Dance Moms called Let It Fall. And that's more of a soulful, slow song. And that was by Daviana, the dancer. For a piece called, or a number, I don't know what do they call a dance?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I think piece or number works.
Yeah. So I did that for Daviana's one called Shades of Blue.
Okay.
So I've had those two on Dance Moms, and I've also had a TV commercial, a couple in Europe. There was there was a song I did called So Easy, and
Okay.
that was picked up for ING Bank in Europe. It was kind of
Okay.
Eastern Europe, like Poland, Slovenia, stuff like that.
Okay.
And that was really big. So that was seen by, millions over there. And then another song got picked up for a Fiat commercial in Europe.
Fun.
Right. And then a recent one that was really cool and I was so thrilled about was one of my Christmas songs got picked up for a Hallmark movie.
Oh,
So,
fun.
yeah. So, I have a song that was actually co-written with a guy named Paul Robert Thomas who wrote the lyrics, but it's called Christmas Time with You. And
Mhm.
that one opens the Hallmark movie called Christmas on Honeysuckle Lane. And
Okay.
so it's the beginning of the movie and, when it's my song and it starts with little bells and it's really a good fit. So
Very
yeah, that was
cool.
cool. Yeah.
That's really exciting. I'm curious. As a fellow former teacher, like I said, I can identify with a lot of things, and I think a lot of the scary moments in my life happened while I was teaching. But I
Oh.
always like to ask people what the scariest experience they've ever had, or the scariest thing they've ever done. And so this could be teaching, this could be transitioning to your new career, or it could be something you haven't even brought up yet. But I'm curious what the scariest moment you've experienced so far has been.
I don't know if I can boil it down to one moment, but
Sure.
it's a certain thing. Okay, so the scariest thing for me has been learning to be okay in front of people. Because I'm
Ah,
not like a lot of musicians are like natural stage people and they've always wanted to like be in the spotlight or whatever. But I was more, I mean, as a kid, I was introverted and I was a pianist. I was
mhm.
taking piano lessons since I was about 10. And I did not sing at all. I didn't sing in a choir. I didn't do anything like that. And I was absolutely petrified to sing, in front of
Yeah.
people, I didn't even sing by myself. I was afraid at piano recitals, when I was a
Okay.
kid. I was really, really scared. And then finally, when I started really getting into music, in the late 2000s, maybe 2006 or 7, I did an open mic, and I
Hmm.
was learning to play acoustic guitar. So I was playing acoustic guitar, and I went to an open mic, and I played in front of people, and I was so scared, but I did it, and I got
Yeah.
positive feedback. And ever since then, like I am never really relaxed, like going out on a stage in front of people. I think I fake it pretty well. People always say, "Oh, I didn't know you were nervous. I couldn't tell at all. You did great." And it's like, no, I've just managed it. But you know what? Teaching really helped me. Teaching
Yeah.
really helped me because even like the first day of class, you know, all these eyes are on you and they're strangers and you don't know them and they don't know you. And standing there in front of all these people just look at me. I mean, it always made me uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
then, during the semester, I taught, at university. So during the semester, a couple weeks in, I would get more relaxed with the people and I would feel very comfortable. So teaching really helped me to overcome
Hmm.
this just, debilitating stage fright.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing that I've really overcome, the boldest move that I could make. I mean, I was as much afraid to be in front of people and perform or do anything as anybody could be. And
Yeah.
now I'm doing it. I've
That's
been on
awesome.
yeah, I've been on live TV and that's really nerve-wracking, because it's live TV.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great. And it seems like you found a really good way to not only incorporate like pushing past that fear and still going on TV and going on tour and performing, but also finding a way that is still within your comfort zone to like practice your passion by recording, which you can kind of do, away from people's eyes. And of course they'll hear it or later, but while you're doing it, it probably is a little bit more comforting to be potentially alone or in a much more
Oh yeah,
setting.
because I can do as many takes as I want. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's like, okay, yeah, I missed that one note, or I can't really hear that consonant, and that word's not clear enough. I'll do it again, so yeah, I'm totally relaxed recording because I can, I edit and I can do as many takes as I need
Sure.
to do. But yeah,
Yeah.
I just wasn't satisfied with not being able to go out and perform because it's like everybody else can do it. If everybody else can do it, I'm just going to make myself do this. And so I did, and I feel really good about that,
That's awesome. I love that.
Oh,
And
thanks.
I think that's something that everyone else can apply to. And kind of the whole premise behind my podcast and the idea behind it is if people hear a little bit of themselves in other people's stories, people might be listening and thinking, well, if Angela can do it, I can do it too. And so you're using that yourself, and I think that's fantastic. Do you have any other tips for pushing past fear or doing something that's a little intimidating?
Well, in the music industry, it's like there's two completely different things. Okay, so you have the creativity and people that like to create and people like to create art and music. And then the music industry and the popular music industry, and they're really vastly different things because the music industry is a business,
Right.
and they like, they like young, they like people that look like movie stars. And, I had already had kids and I wasn't in my early 20s or teens, like Billie Eilish or anything. And and even people that are closer to my generation, like Sheryl Crow or something, um, she became known when she was younger.
Right.
So just pushing forward and still doing this, in my, I really got going in my mid to late 30s, and then really all through my 40s. I've just been, even though I'm a woman who's getting older every year, which isn't really what the industry values. You know what I mean? But I just did it anyways. And people like my music, people like my voice. And the way I see it, I never signed up to be on camera talent. I mean, I'm an artist, I'm a singer, I'm a musician. So it's audio, that's the way I see it. It's audio. I mean, I try to look my best and I try to take care of myself, but I was never in it for the appearance. So kind of overcoming that and just being like, you know what, I don't care how old I am. And I have friends that have kind of acted like, well, you're not young, and they didn't say that directly, but they implied it.
Yeah.
And I just thought, there's a lot of people that want to listen to good music and they're not like, oh, they're not 22. Well, then never mind,
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that, just, being the age that I am, still doing new things and getting out there with music. And, it's not about age. And I hope to inspire other people that you're never too old. You're never too old to start something. You're never too old to pursue your passion. You're never too old to create, if that's where your heart really is.
I love that. I think that's
thanks.
beautiful. And I can definitely, once again, identify with so much with what you're saying. And so I think that this will resonate with a lot of people, and you're doing exactly what you're setting out to. Speaking of that, you're hoping to inspire that, and you are an educator by background and, of course, an artist. I'm wondering if you know what your purpose is, and if so, if you wouldn't mind sharing it.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, I love that question. Oh, I know without a doubt what my purpose is. My purpose is to uplift people through music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel really strongly about that. I mean, my recent album, Love, is very positive and it's inspiring. And every song I try to somehow contribute to bringing people up in some way or making them think. And I do have one sad song on there called Let It Play On While I Cry. And that is really about healing. It's like, just let it out so you can move on and get over it and feel better. And so I'm very socially conscious when I write music because I've seen how much it gets out there. There are people that write to me and there are people that hear it, even on different continents. And, so the words really matter, so I want to affect people in a positive way and help them to know that they're okay. And, I have a song called Beautiful Truth. And, that's about like, stop being so critical of yourself, stop being critical of yourself, love yourself. You have so much to offer. Who you are is beautiful. There's a beautiful truth in you. And, so I want to say things like that. And that's my purpose.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. If people are listening and they want to hear more of your music and check out, the different placements, I don't know if you have on your website or something, the YouTube videos of people dancing to your songs or anything like that. Where can you be found online and where can people hear more of your music?
Oh, okay. Well, my main homepage is my name, so AngelaPredhomme.com, and that's Angela, and it's Predhomme. I'm sure it'll be in your notes too.
Definitely.
And from there are links to my social sites. But yeah, I definitely have a YouTube, and on there, and you can always Google my name and Dance Moms, and you'll definitely find those songs.
That's awesome.
Because they have a whole lot of views. So yeah, and I'm on Apple Music, I'm on Spotify and Pandora, and I'm thrilled that I just passed 500,000 streams on Pandora.
Amazing.
And,
congratulations.
oh, thanks. And you know what? I don't even keep track of the other ones, so I don't even know where I'm at with the other ones. But yeah, it's great. So anywhere people stream music, like Amazon, I'm on Amazon Music and all that. So.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'm sure people will be going there, and you're correct. I'll definitely put all of that in the show notes. Another thing that I like to put in the show notes is book recommendations from people. So I imagine somewhere along your journey, you've read books either that have been nice ways to escape stressful afternoons or whatever, or books that maybe have guided you in some way or another. So if your story is resonating with someone and they want to read things that you've loved to read, what book recommendations do you have to share?
Well, I am kind of a nonfiction kind of person.
Okay.
I'm always kind of trying to be productive or useful with my mental energy. I don't even watch very much TV or anything like that. And when I do, I like it to be sort of like historical fiction,
Yeah.
But so I try to learn from what I read, and a book that's really, that really made a difference for me, were books by Robin Frederick. So
Okay.
Robin Frederick is, she's, in the music industry, and she has books. I have one called Shortcuts to Hit Songwriting, and then I have one called something about shortcuts in the film and TV industry. So her advice about how to write music that goes well for film and TV, that helped me to get the things that I got, because it's different, it's like writing, if you're a writer, that writing for different purposes, you write differently. It depends on the audience.
Absolutely.
It depends on the purpose. So writing for the film and TV industry is kind of specific. And I used a lot of those concepts from Robin Frederick's books, and that really helped me to write in a way that was still very much my own art, but it was commercially viable.
Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah. I think that's great advice. Is it all of your reading? I know you said you like nonfiction, but of course, singing and songwriting, shortcuts, and so on is quite specific to your niche. Do you ever read personal development books, or do you have any books that might be generally helpful to a broader audience, or do you pretty much niche down into career specific?
Oh, yeah. I just thought of one that's great is the author Gay Hendricks. Have you heard of Gay Hendricks?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. So I met him about a year ago, and I was so inspired by his books, and I got a couple of them, and so his are self-help books.
Okay.
And I got his classic called Learning to Love Yourself. And that's really what the song Beautiful Truth is about. And so, because all that fear and stage fright and all that, it's because of our insecurity. So I've kind of had this lifelong development, this lifelong growth of getting over that, really beating that insecurity and feeling really, truly self-confident and secure and truly loving myself, and only being in situations and around people that are loving toward me. And the Gay Hendricks books are, amazing for that. And I have a cool story about that. So last January, I got a Facebook message, and I thought it was fake. Okay. Somebody said, "Oh yeah, we like your music, and somebody wants to fly you out to California for a performance, or, would you do this? And, somebody I never heard of, and so
Yeah.
anyways, it turns out that it was a friend of Gay Hendricks. And they flew me out there, and I performed in Ojai, California.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and because he had heard my song Beautiful Truth, and he had heard it on Pandora while he was at the gym, okay? And
Wow.
he loved it so much that he sent it to all his friends, and he just was freaking out about this song because it really resonated with his books and what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, so then one of his friends, for a surprise for his birthday party, he they had me come out there and sing the song as a surprise, and it was really awesome.
Oh,
and then
wow.
yeah, and I had never read his books at that point, and then after I got home and I started reading the books, and I was like, wow, this is great. I mean, he was a professor and a therapist, psychotherapist, and so he really knows his stuff, and it's really quality stuff.
That's awesome. What a cool story.
Yeah.
And that's great that even though you kind of had your BS meter tickled a little bit, like, oh, I don't know about this, that you still went through with it and had such a cool experience that has impacted you so much. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did my homework. I
Right.
looked into the person contacting me, found out they are real people, and things like that.
Right.
There's all kinds of crazy stuff out there.
Absolutely. That story could end with like a new episode of Unsolved Mysteries or something.
Oh, and they let me bring my husband too.
That
and
helps.
I said, oh yeah, so I'll be traveling. I won't travel alone. I need an assistant, and and so
Sure.
yeah, I was able to bring him, and it was good.
Awesome. I love that. Well, I'll put those books also in the show notes so that people can grab that. I feel like you've given so much good advice already, just naturally
Cool.
in conversation by it coming up and just through you living your purpose and sharing what you do through song and inspiring people. But I always like to give people the opportunity to share anything else. So if you have a lesson that you learned recently, or if your heart's just telling you that there's something that you need to share with our listeners or viewers, now is your time. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Okay. Well, really, my whole career has been based on bold moves.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about it. I just am not satisfied with myself if I'm cowering in a corner. It's like,
Sure.
well, you know what? No matter how hard it is, I'm going to force myself to overcome that.
Beautiful.
So, anyways, so this is my 5th album I just released. But the other ones, I usually worked with a music producer. I had somebody that was, more experienced in the music industry. And, music production it's like audio engineering. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it can be really intimidating and really technical. And I was intimidated by a lot of that. But my last album, I totally self-produced myself. And there's hardly any female producers out there.
Yeah.
Most of the music producers are men. But anyway, so I just totally took full control of my own work, and I directed the musicians, and then I did a lot of the technical stuff. And I did work with a mixing and mastering engineer who's actually mastered all of my previous work. But all the creative stuff was, that was really a bold move. That was really going out on a limb. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to work with one of these guys that is kind of a know-it-all that, thinks they know everything, and I'm just some little girl who knows nothing, and I kind of, just thought, you know what? I can do this. And because I've been around, experienced people, and I kind of felt like I was ready for it. Because it can be a little intimidating to be directing professional musicians.
I'm sure.
Because they're like really skilled. It's their whole thing. And some of them, not the ones I'm working with now, but, some of them can be a little arrogant and stuff. But yeah, anyways, I produced this myself, and I even got, a choir together for a couple songs. And so I made a lot happen, and I'm so proud of that. So yeah, there's that bold move. And then just, the path that I'm on, really writing and recording kind of primarily for recording and to put it out there for film and TV and streaming, it's really kind of unusual. And everybody that I know, the musician friends of mine in my area, they they're kind of involved with performing,
Mm-hmm.
which is good because nowadays with the music industry, that's really where most of the money is,
Mm-hmm.
because nobody buys CDs or albums anymore.
Yeah.
So, and streaming is, micro pennies. So even, major label artists, people tour more than they did because that's
Mm-hmm.
where the money is.
Right.
Um, but the way I see it, I have to travel, I have to move my physical body around to different cities and play to like however many people might show up. But look at how many more people I can reach with the recordings if I market them right. So
Yeah.
I've done a lot of research. I've, kind of become my own marketing expert. And I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of trial and error with marketing and ways to get it out there. So I have kind of just carved my own path instead of what gig can I get? What gig can I get? Because
Yeah.
most musicians really are only focused on that live performing, which is great. And I mean, everybody has their different strengths. Some people
Mm-hmm.
are amazing performers, and maybe their performance presence, and if they can get the crowd excited, maybe that is their strength over writing and recording. But my strength is writing and recording, so I just feel like this is right for me. And
Yeah.
it's a long game. Most people don't do it because it's a long-term commitment. Like the
Mm-hmm.
song that I wrote that got in the Hallmark movie, we did that. I recorded that in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So it took until 2019 for anything to happen with that song. And,
Yeah.
and it's a gamble, it's a gamble. Nothing is for sure. You may make money, you may not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the most attractive field to some people, but I just kind of did my own thing. There was no model I was following. And, so, and it's working out pretty well for me. So I'm happy about that. And I'm proud of that. And I don't imitate anybody. I don't try to be like anybody. For success in the music industry, a lot of times it's like recreate what's hot at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people out there imitating the top 10 songs right now. They're trying to do like their own version of that
Mm-hmm.
because they think that's what is wanted and that's what will hit and that's what will make money. But, I never follow.
Yeah.
I never follow. I always just sort of think for myself, and I would rather, have fewer listeners than mass listeners for something that was never really mine and just imitating.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And
Yeah.
I think that that's so fantastic. It sounds like you're the overnight success that was, 10 years in the making. I
Oh,
feel like
definitely.
you always see the last sprint somebody makes before they make it big and don't realize that, like you said, with your song that was in the Hallmark movie, you made that 5 years ago. And then 5 years later, after maybe almost giving up or not even thinking anything was going to happen with that song, you got a great moment out of that. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I never almost give up. Yeah. I mean, I kind of, it's a creative thing. It's like I create and I move on. It's kind of like
Yeah.
with a photographer or something. It's like, you take some cool pictures in Yosemite and then you go and you do something else and you go and you do something else. So I love the creation. So I create, I put it out there, I make new stuff, I put it out there. So I really have, a lot of songs out there because
Yeah.
because I just love making them.
That's awesome. And I find
Yeah.
that so inspiring. I would say to distill down, that end lesson that I asked you for is kind of go your own path, play the
Yes.
long game, do it for you, and keep moving. And it sounds like all of that really works together toward a fulfilling and successful career. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome. And, I still think that what works for one person isn't necessarily right for somebody else. So I think that you have to really go within, I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
really kind of a spiritual person and, you have to go within and what you really want inside, the desires that keep bubbling up, day after day, year after year, that's what's right for you,
Mm-hmm.
and some people have like a different path or they want to do something slightly different. Maybe they want to be a session musician or they want to be
Mm-hmm.
like really super good at piano or guitar. And that's great. If they're drawn to do that, then that's the right path for them.
Yeah, That's fantastic. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Absolutely. So we already know where to look for you online and social media and so on. I always like to end with my favorite question, which is, if little Angela, if you were 8 years old and you had a crystal ball and you could see the whole journey, being a teacher, being a mom, having your music seen on TV and in commercials around the world, and just bringing joy and inspiration to so many people that way, to where you are now and your trip to Ojai. And of course, you probably have some foreseeable plans coming up that you're maybe looking forward to or not. But I'd like to ask, on a scale of 1 to 11, how excited would little Angela be to see the future up to what we know so far?
Ooh, that's a tough question, because little Angela would be scared out of her mind.
I figured there would be a little bit of element of that.
It's like, wait a minute, I'm going to go on TV and sing and play the piano on live morning shows? I think that then if the crystal ball showed that I was okay with it, I think I would be like 11 excited, like, yes. But you know what? It wouldn't be a huge surprise, because I knew, music was just in my blood. I was writing songs when I was 4 years old,
Wow.
in the back of the car. And they were just silly little nonsense songs, but I was making little things up with melodies and my own little songs. And so, and then I love to play the piano and play the guitar. And so, music is just who I am. So I would be thrilled if I saw that I was succeeding at it. Yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing what you're doing with my audience and with me, and for sharing your music and inspiration with the world. I know that you're having an impact. I think that's fantastic. And I'm so glad you're here to share it with me today.
Oh, you're welcome. And it's been really fun. And thank you so much. I want to mention one other thing. I will be doing some tour dates probably mid to later this year, and people can follow me on Bands in Town. So bandsintown.com. If you put in my name and then click track, it means you follow them and you get notified when they come to your city. So if I'm going to be getting out to other states and other cities, I'd like to get to the East Coast. I'd like to get to Texas. I'd love to get back to California. So those are all kind of in my long-term plans.
That's awesome. And that sounds like a really great website. I used to go to way more concerts, and I sort of lost track of keeping tabs on my favorite artists. So that sounds like a good way to make sure you don't randomly find out about a concert you would have loved to go to the day after or something.
Oh yeah, you should definitely get on there. You could follow all your favorite people, because all the big names are on there. It's great. One thing I love about the internet is that it leveled the playing field. You know what I mean? So it's like, you have like these huge artists and people like me that are lesser known, and next to Ariana Grande or something. So Bands in Town, you can follow everybody from big to small.
Very cool. Thank you for that resource as well.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I'm sure people will be tracking you down. And if they do, I hope they go say hi after the show.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, this has been so fun.
Yes. Thank you so much.
I hope you found that inspiring, especially as a potentially creative person that might speak to you. My goal with these podcasts is that people hear a little bit of their own story in every episode and are inspired by that, by thinking, well, if Angela can do it, then I can do it too. And that you go after whatever your dream is. My hope is that you will share this with anyone who you think will find it valuable, that you will also subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes, and that you will leave a nice review on Apple Podcasts for us. That is what helps get it into other people's ears, and then helps me on my mission to share it with as many people as possible. So it would be really wonderful. I would be very appreciative if you would do that for me. All right, that is all for now. All of the resources we talked about were at the show notes at boldmovespodcast.com, so please feel free to head there if you're looking for more. Otherwise, I have another episode coming with you on Friday, and as always, be bold and have a sparkly day. Bye-bye.